Good evening, I am Tammy Reed in with your VON Major News package for today, Thursday, 22nd November 2018. In our lead stories nationally, Director of Agriculture on St. Kitts encourages the public to eat local post-romaine lettuce recall, and continued reaction to newly introduced People's Democratic Alliance PDA. Regionally, public protests in Bahamas over electricity prices. Internationally, Nissan sacks chairman over cash scandal. And in sports, James stars for Lakers as LA defeat Cavs 109-105. We'll have the details to these and other stories after this message.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse, Vaughan.
Welcome back, and now the national news in detail. Subsequent to a release of an advisory from the Ministry of Health on Wednesday, November 21st, that imports of romaine lettuce into St. Kitts and Nevis could be tainted with E. coli bacteria, supermarkets, hotels, and restaurants were urged not to serve or sell anything containing romaine lettuce until further notice. Therefore, consumers were encouraged to discard any romaine lettuce. The VON Newsline spoke with the Director of Agriculture in St. Kitts, Mr. Melvin James, about the recent development.
And as I think about that, I also remember that not too long ago too, there was products out of Brazil that were highly tainted and products that were likely to be coming into our market. And as I look back at these things, I reflect on the concept that seems to go on in a lot of people's mind, how we often gravitate towards imports. But we ought to realize that these things are not in and of themselves necessarily wholesome. And here is where a lot of our local produce tend to be superior, tend to be better. Products are tested, and so far they continue to show that they're very good to be consumed.
He added that the lettuce recall should serve as a reminder that local products are better.
The better option is for us to use local. Allow the local farmer to be the one to feed you. Allow him to be the one to produce, knowing that you're going to consume what is being produced. And in fact, if there ever becomes an issue, it's easily traceable. The farmers are right here. Things are easy to correct. But the good thing is that we continue to follow a lot of close to organic type practices, thereby reducing the chances of contaminants or heavy pesticide burdens. And so once we use local, it's a win-win situation. Those who have not been so inclined, this is a great opportunity for us to really begin to introspect, begin to look inward and support our very own.
Director of Agriculture in St. Kitts, Mr. Melvin James. We contacted Nevis's Director of Agriculture, but to no avail. There has been continuous reaction following the launch of the newest and third political party, the People's Democratic Alliance PDA, here on Nevis. Here are a few callers that weighed in on the launch of the alliance during Tuesday's evening Let's Talk That Get Results program.
You indicated that your party is not politically motivated. But what are you then doing? Are you running a business?
I think you come in a little late, you know. You should come in when NRP been around. It's so good, you know, but in the politics is a funny thing. You can try, but you fail for the first time.
I think we need to get off the idea of politics. This is a breath of fresh air for Nevis.
I just want them to concentrate on the positive things that are going on and in Nevis, and to develop more positive things for the people.
Heavyweight panelist Mr. Ted Hobson also gave his take on the new party.
I wasn't quite clear what they are. At one stage they seem to be a community kind of organization, another stage they seem to be a political party. They have to make up their mind what they are. But in fact, they said they were contesting the elections, so I suppose they have to be politicians of some sort.
The Honorable Spencer Brand, who was on the program, said that in his view, the new party adds another voice.
I believe that as an island and as a nation, our constitution provides individuals to band themselves together in these kind of organization or entity. So I want to say to them, welcome to what I would call, they have dubbed themselves the People Democratic Alliance. It just adds another voice, in my opinion, Rebel, to the discussion, and I'm certainly looking forward to continue to hear what their intent are as it regards to the ideas and the upward and onward mobility of Nevis.
Meantime, here's what the leader of the Concerned Citizens Movement, CCM, and Nevis's premier, the Honorable Mark Brantley, in the wake of the PDA's launch.
We welcome participants in the political process. But frankly, when we look at the membership, I don't think the people of Nevis will be fooled. I think this is now old NRP and new NRP. It is clearly two sides to the same coin, and I believe that people will see it for what it is. When we look at the membership, we know where they have always stood in the past, and we expect that that is where they stand now. So I continue to say, as the leader of our party, to our members, to not listen to all the noise that is around us, but to continue to focus on what is important, and to continue to stay with a party that has meant so much to them and to our island and to our development over all these years. I will continue to monitor, and we will see. But I want our supporters and our people to remain vigilant and to look at this for what it is, as I say, a manifestation of the dysfunction that has now infected and affected the Nevis Reformation Party.
The Honorable Mark Brantley. The Green Paper on Universal Health Care for the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis was the center for discussion on the Wednesday, 21st November edition of the On the Mark program. Present on the program were members of the National Commission of Universal Health Care, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health and Gender Affairs, Mrs. Nicole Slack-Liebert, and Dr. Cardell Rollins. The other panelists were Mrs. Rhonda Nisbet Brown of the Legal Department here on Nevis, and Chair of the Commission, Ms. Azila Clark, who joined in via telephone. According to Mrs. Slack-Liebert, the insurance package will be based on the disease profile of the population or the burden of disease.
We continuously do data collection, of course, through our health information unit, but we've also done some additional assessment to see our disease profile to determine what will be the contents of the package. So, for example, you spoke extensively about non-communicable diseases, which are our greatest burden of disease, and 80% that you refer to regionally is actually our situation here in St. Kitts and Nevis. So the diabetes, where about 20% of our population is affected, hypertension, about 35% of our population, the cancers and so on, of course, those are concerns, and those will be covered in terms of treatment. And also, of course, as I mentioned earlier, our health promotion initiatives also have to be heightened in this regard. We're also looking at issues, for example, such as mental health, which are also a concern for our population.
She further explained that a number of proposals and suggestions have been put forward in relation to financing the program.
Salary deductions in the form of contributions. This is one proposal where an employee would contribute a certain amount and the employer would match that amount. The 1% employment injury benefit that is currently paid by employers if someone is injured on the job, for example, looking at redirecting that into an established fund for universal health care. Looking at also, for example, the $600,000, that's just specific to Nevis that you mentioned earlier, Premier, in terms of redirecting that into a pool, and that can also provide startup funding for financing of that. Also looking at some of the annual premium that the government pays right now to cover its employees, which is approximately at least $2 million in Nevis, looking at redirecting that into a pool so at least we have startup funding.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health and Gender Affairs, Mrs. Nicole Slack-Liebert. Meanwhile, one proposal that is being discussed is who are the beneficiaries of the insurance holders. Dr. Rollins, who was responding to a caller's question on whether dependents can be covered under another's package, provided this response.
You who are working and paying into the system, your dependents will be covered. So whether you have children, a dependent wife who doesn't work, you may even have a parent who is retired and living with you that you're caring for, they would also be covered.
Dr. Cardell Rollins. In police news, 23-year-old Akeem Connor of St. Paul's was sentenced to serve time in prison for the offense of robbery at a High Court hearing on Friday, November 16th. Connor was indicted on March 24, 2017 for the offense and was found guilty on October 9, 2018. The prescribed penalty for the offense of robbery is 20 years with or without hard labor. The judge intended a sentence of 7 years, but in considering certain factors such as the fact that the prisoner had no previous convictions and the time Connor spent in pre-sentence custody, which is 1 year, 5 months and 18 days, he was sentenced to 5 years, 2 months and 10 days in prison. Finally, one of the highlight activities organized to celebrate Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris' 25th anniversary of serving the people as a parliamentarian is a gospel concert which is scheduled for Sunday, November 25th. Back in 1993, PM Harris participated in elective politics and was first elected as a Member of Parliament on the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party ticket in parliamentary elections held in 1995. Jamaican performer Minister Marion Hall, formerly Lady Saw, is set to headline the much-anticipated gospel concert. The gospel concert, which is free of charge, will be held at the Edgar T. Morris Primary School grounds in Tabernacle, St. Kitts on Sunday, November 25th at 7 p.m. She will also headline a press conference at Cayenne Jet FBO services adjacent the RLB Airport in St. Kitts on Saturday, November 24th at 8 p.m. Marian is a Jamaican singer-songwriter whose career has spanned over 2 decades. In December 2015, she changed her name from Lady Saw to Minister Marion Hall, or simply Marion Hall, and stated that she will not perform dancehall music, but instead she will begin a new music career in gospel music, which has produced hits like Room in My House and I'm Gonna Fast. That's our national news segment. You can visit our website at www.vonradio.com, or you can check us out on our social media page on Facebook at Von Radio and our Von Radio YouTube channel. News from across the region is next.
That's right, it's that time of the year once again where your bank, the Bank of Nevis Limited, is offering very low interest rate on brand new vehicles. But that's not all. We are offering a discounted bill of sale and your insurance payment will be covered. So visit us today or just dial 869-469-5564 and speak to our very experienced lenders. My bank, your bank, our bank. The Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life. Like us on Facebook.
If you wanna go and take a ride with me, we three willing in the four with the goldies. Oh, why do I live this way? Must be the money.
Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back, and now the regional news in detail. In the Bahamas, hundreds of residents gathered on Wednesday for a march through downtown Nassau, which ended with a public protest in Parliament Square, primarily over a rise in electricity prices, along with a few other matters of public concern in relation to the current Free National Movement FNM administration. Over the last week, consumers have been noticing a sharp rise in the cost of their electricity bills, which some say have increased upwards of 60% over their previous billings. The crowd, which was largely peaceful, chanted slogans and cheers as the parliament sat in session across the street from their scheduled session in the lower house. The protest organizer, Maria Daxon, explained that this was an important day to tell the current administration how they felt about a rise in electricity prices. The protest also garnered support from a member of the sitting administration, Member of Parliament for Pine Ridge in Grand Bahama, Frederick McAlpine, who had been a consistent critic of his colleagues in the FNM. Some other protesters also took time out to chant anti-government slogans, wanting current Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis and his ministers to step down or make living less costly. News from Puerto Rico. The country is still reeling from the unprecedented devastation wreaked more than a year ago by Hurricane Maria, and the island is in desperate need of help, its governor said this week. In a letter addressed to congressional leaders on Monday, November 19th, Governor Ricardo Rossello described the staggering challenges that Puerto Rico has had to overcome since the September 2017 disaster. He begged lawmakers to immediately increase federal funding and other assistance to the territory. According to local media, the governor wrote, "Time is of the essence and continued action by Congress is now critical." Mr. Rossello said the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, had earlier this year withdrawn its full funding of some emergency work, including debris removal, building demolition, and the provision of temporary generators. An appeal to reinstate this funding had been rejected, he said, even though significant emergency response work remains to be done on the island. Rossello implored Congress to reinstate full FEMA funding for these recovery needs. News from Jamaica. The island has placed a temporary ban on the importation of romaine lettuce because of the E. coli outbreak in the United States. The decision was taken yesterday, November 21st, by the Ministry of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries through its Plant Quarantine and Produce Inspection Branch in collaboration with the Ministry of Health's Public Health Division. The Agriculture Ministry, in a statement, said imports on the vegetable now in transit will be seized for destruction upon arrival in Jamaica. The ministry also said that E. coli bacteria poses a serious public health concern, and the suspension of the importation of romaine lettuce is a necessary and urgent step to protect the health of local consumers. Furthermore, under the Consumer Protection Act, consumers are therefore to refrain from purchasing or consuming imported romaine lettuce until further notice. In light of this, consumers who have purchased the vegetable recently have been asked to discard it immediately or return the package to the grocery store for a full refund. Finally, out of Antigua. Any group organization that wishes to have an input in the Cannabis Bill 2018, which seeks to legalize the use of the herb, medicinal, religious, and sacramental purposes, will get a chance to do so on Friday, November 23rd. The government will be issuing invitations to a number of groups, while members of the public who want to get involved can approach the Clerk of Parliament and make a request. That's according to Ryan Johnson, draftsman of the Cannabis Bill 2018. At 10 a.m. at Parliament Building, a 5-member Parliamentary Select Committee will engage the stakeholders, including Rastafarians and medical professionals, among others identified as approved healthcare professionals, on matters that concern them regarding the journey towards the legalization and management of the industry thereafter. Prime Minister Gaston Brown on Tuesday appointed the following parliamentarians to the committee: Stedroy Benjamin, Attorney General, who will chair the committee; Samantha Marshall, Social Transformation Minister; Malwin Joseph, Health Minister; Jamal Pringle, Opposition Leader; and Trevor Walker, Bermuda, Member of Parliament. The move is in keeping with the government's promise to develop medical and other marijuana-related industries, both for local and international consumption. That's it for our regional stories. Stay with us for news around the world. Welcome back, and now the international news in detail. Chairman and CEO of Japanese car maker Nissan, Carlos Ghosn, has been ousted after nearly 2 decades at the helm following allegations of financial misconduct. He has been accused by Nissan of underreporting his salary and using company assets for personal use. However, some see it as part of the firm's attempt to rebalance power in its alliance with Renault and Mitsubishi, which Ghosn also chairs. The 64-year-old, who was the architect of the tie-up between the three firms. Here is more in this report.
More than 4 hours, but in the end, the result was as expected. Carlos Ghosn is no longer chairman of Nissan Motor Corporation. The accusations against Mr. Ghosn keep on coming. The latest, that he made Nissan pay his sister $100,000 a year for a consulting job she never took up. Mr. Ghosn himself remains in custody at a Tokyo detention center. He is reported to have hired as his lawyer the former head of the Special Investigation Unit at the Tokyo Prosecutor's Office, the same unit that is now investigating him.
UK's Prime Minister Theresa May has hailed the EU draft agreement on post-Brexit relations as right for the whole of the UK in a brief statement in Downing Street. The political declaration outlining how trade, security and other issues will work out has been agreed in principle, the European Council says. Brexit is the impending withdrawal of the United Kingdom from the European Union. Here is Mrs. May.
The British people want this to be settled. They want a good deal that sets us on course for a brighter future. That deal is within our grasp, and I am determined to deliver it.
American model and entrepreneur Angela Rennie White, aka Blac Chyna, is being criticized for selling a skin lightening cream in Nigeria. The model's new product, in partnership with a brand called Whitenicious, was announced on Instagram. The first launch of that face cream will be held on Sunday, November 25th, Lagos, Nigeria. The Whitenicious and Blac Chyna collection is described as illuminating and brightening cream that lightens without bleaching skin out. One person asked on Twitter, "How is your name Blac Chyna, but you're promoting a bleaching cream called Whitenicious?" In an interview with Ebony at the time, Chyna was quoted as saying, "Will Whitenicious bleach your skin if you use it on all your skin? Yes, it will. Are we selling Whitenicious for that purpose? No, we are not." Finally, concentrations of key gases in the atmosphere that are driving up global temperatures reaching a new high in 2017. In their annual greenhouse gas bulletin, WMO says there is no sign of reversal in this rising trend. Carbon dioxide levels reached 405 parts per million in 2017, a level which is unprecedented. Dr. Oksana Terasiva of the WMO said there is no going back once the damage was done.
If we put carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, it will create the increase in the temperature. And what is very important to realize that even if we stop emissions overnight, as soon as these gases are already in the atmosphere, they are still able to increase the temperature in the future up to ½ degree in addition to what we have now. So it's extremely critical to take actions now.
That brings us to the end of our news segments. The latest in sports is next.
Oh man, I've been needing some new tires.
So you're checking?
And tires are so expensive these days.
So you ain't checking?
If I could only find some that fit my budget.
Boy! TDC Automotive is having a big tire sale for the entire month of November.
So why didn't you just tell me that before?
Oh yeah! Get 40% off all tires for coaster buses and light trucks. 7.00 R15, 7.00 R16, 7.5 R14, and more. For the month of November at the TDC Automotive Division. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back, and now the sports in detail. In basketball, LeBron James marked his return to Cleveland with 32 points and 14 rebounds as his Los Angeles Lakers side beat the Cavaliers 109-105 last evening, November 21st. James, who left the Cavs in July, received a standing ovation from fans as well as a video tribute after scoring the first points of the game. He signed a 4-year deal with the Lakers in the summer worth $154 million. The 33-year-old also made 7 assists as the Lakers came from behind to record their 6th win in 7 games. To come back and get the reception I got, it means a lot, he said. Victory saw the Lakers improve their win-loss record to 10-7, their best since April 2013, while the Cavs fell to an NBA worst 2-14. Finally, in athletics, British Olympic sprinter Nigel Levine has been banned from all sport for 4 years after failing a drugs test. The European 4x400 meters relay gold medalist was provisionally suspended in December. Additionally, UK anti-doping UKAD has now confirmed the 29-year-old tested positive for the banned asthma drug clenbuterol following an out-of-competition test on November 24, 2017. Levine was part of Britain's 4x400 meters relay team at the 2016 Rio Olympics. Clenbuterol is on the World Anti-Doping Agency's prohibited list because it is deemed a performance-enhancing drug and can induce weight loss. That's it for the sports segment. The general weather forecast is next. Welcome back, and now the local weather forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis. Weather tonight, partly cloudy with a 10% or a slight chance of showers. Winds easterly at 15 to 28 kilometers per hour or 8 to 15 knots. Seas significant wave heights 1.5 meters or 5 feet. Sunrise tomorrow is at 6:20 a.m. And that's how we wrap up the major news package for today, Thursday, 22nd November 2018. Before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Nationally, Director of Agriculture on St. Kitts encourages the public to eat local post-romaine lettuce recall, and continued reaction to newly introduced People's Democratic Alliance PDA. Regionally, public protests in Bahamas over electricity prices. Internationally, Nissan sacks chairman over cash scandal. And in sports, James stars for Lakers as LA defeat Cavs 109-105. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Tammy Reed, wishing you a pleasant evening.